Hi everybody. Hey, yesterday I was talking about the idea of accuracy and correctness and understanding where in the human body to put the trauma. Got a great question from somebody about the lower margin of the rib cage. I briefly mentioned lower margin of the rib cage, and I think that's a really good area for us to take a look at. Lower margin of the rib cage is literally the lower margin. If you come down to your sternum and then you feel your ribs, they go all the way down to here, you can start feeling those lower margins. So when you press on here, there, you go around the back, and on the back here, you can feel the floating ribs. Now that's what we call the lower margin of the rib cage. It's 4 different areas of the rib cage. The reason we highlight that area is because unlike the upper rib cage, the true ribs that are connected all the way around, these aren't. These kind of float, and they also have a lot of cartilage in them to help the body expand while you breathe, and they're far more vulnerable and easy to break. And what's interesting about that is each one of these has a highly vascular organ behind that. You have, on the right side, you have your liver. On the left side, you have your spleen. And around back here, we have kidneys on either side. Each one of those holds a lot of blood. And so the idea of disrupting the lower margin of the rib cage, cracking those ribs, sending those cracked ribs into one of these areas, you can cause hypervolemic shock in somebody. They can rapidly bleed out. That's the value of going after this in a life or death situation. But training it, you have to be really slow and deliberate. Before I could ever accurately strike one of these areas, I spent literally hours working with training partners to really get it down, to really understand where on the human body. The methodologies that you have right now on the current video systems that you guys own, way better than what I had when I first started. Meaning you can get there even faster if you just apply that. So we're going to take one area of the rib cage, this rib cage, and just realize that really understanding where to put that effort. You know, if I strike here, you've seen people, you've probably seen in combat sports, you've heard people talk about the liver punch or getting knee to the liver, and you see a guy hold his liver and his eyes just go wide and he just drops on that. In fact, I can probably get you guys a video here and you'll see something to that effect. That is done by specifically understanding where on the human body to go. Okay? You will execute it at full speed, but to learn it and to really put it in your brain and your brain understand exactly what you want the body to do at full speed, you have to go slow and deliberate in these areas. First, I have people at seminars, and you guys have come to seminar with me, you know, I have you guys take your thumbs and push in these areas, and you feel people just go away from it. It's unpleasant when you get hit in these areas. Even light striking is unpleasant. And then that helps it, you know, when it's done to you, you realize, oh, okay, yeah, this is not something I'd want to have any more pressure hitting me. What's key is that you understand that that's where you want to strike. Okay, these areas, not up here. Okay, the rib cage is pretty resilient. You have to penetrate 3.5 inches into the rib cage to create enough deformity to do any damage to the bones. 3.5 inches. It's a lot easier to do that down here than it ever would be with the true ribs. And also, down here you have the added bonus of what? Highly vascular organs. So that's why it's worth just that one area of the human body is really just a treasure trove of potential injuries. But the best guys I know that use these types of strikes on a regular basis do so by doing accurate, correct, and slow, deliberate training. That's it. Here's one bonus I'll give you. Easy way to break the ribs also is from the side. Striking the side, not striking straight up. Now, the lower margin of the rib cage, you can. But if you want to crack up here on the rib cage, the true ribs, you'd punch it from the side. Why? The side of the ribs is not meant to be compressed. It's the front and back of the ribs that are meant to be compressed. Here, it actually, you know, the force is really bad. I've seen guys get struck here and just the agony in their eyes when they get struck there because they feel the ribs just ripping out of the connective tissue and the bones just cracking. It's a terrible, terrible fight. And if you get this, you see these guys and they're wrapped for weeks trying to get back and get healthy again. It's super unpleasant. Your breathing hurts, everything hurts. But again, if you don't know that and you haven't trained that, you know, you wouldn't have that in your arsenal. So that was a great question. I was really happy to hear it, but that's just one other reason that you should be sitting here and looking at the human body and really understanding how to put your best effort into something that's going to get you a big result. See you tomorrow.